Hello, and a very warm welcome to the channel. It's been quite a while, I'm not going to lie. So obviously in solidarity with the Hollywood writer strike, I've been refrained from making videos for the past 2 months. That's definitely the reason. It's not because I'm some combination of lazy and disorganised. Actually, I did actually make one video, but I had copyright issues on it because it had some NFL footage. So hopefully this one will be okay, but this one is also about the NFL. This is all 30 NFL stadiums ranked from worst to first from the TPS channel. And what really interested me in this one is I did a reaction video to college football stadiums, and they were just enormous. I mean, I still haven't quite got my head around the whole thing about college football, like university sport being so big in America. But I thought it'd be really interesting to compare that with the NFL, which is what, the biggest sport league, the richest sport league in the world, I think. I have to check that. But yeah, so it must be the biggest in America, right? I thought it'd be a really interesting comparison. So without further ado, let's play the video. I hope you enjoy. And if you see some little singeing on my ears, I've just had a haircut a couple of hours ago, and I had a Turkish barber, and he sort of set fire to my ears a bit. Apparently it's part of the service. I wasn't expecting it, but it's an extra. So let's go.
Not every facility is state-of-the-art.
The railing crashed, almost taking out Jalen Hurts. Multiple fans falling 9 feet down onto the ground at FedEx Field.
All sports fans by sports fans.
There are more than a couple of stinkers that NFL teams still play in every Sunday. Let's take a look at our rankings for every NFL stadium from worst to first.
Let's go.
FedEx Field. FedEx Field is a pretty easy choice when it comes to the bottom of NFL stadiums. Not only has the field proven repeatedly to be a death trap for home and away players alike, but we've even seen the stadium itself.
So the state of the field really reminds me of when the NFL first came to Wembley, which is, I think it was 2007, something around then. They've obviously been playing exhibition games there ever since. But with the first time they played there, the pitch just was not ready and they completely tore it up. As you'd expect, quite understandably, it's a very vigorous game. And it caused a lot of controversy because then the England, I hate using this word, but I will use it for you guys, the England soccer team had to play on this pitch that looked like, it looked like it had been shelled by artillery, I'll put it that way. It looked like a First World War battlefield. And also the NFL logo could still be seen on it, and the NFL kind of lines down the pitch. So yeah, it was kind of controversial. They've definitely got a lot better at doing it since.
Take a stab at injuring players when it came crashing down and nearly avalanched onto Jalen Hurts last season. It isn't just that players are in danger in DC either.
I love, oh my god, I love that. Even though he's falling down, I presume he was like taking a photo as he fell. Like, not he's like playing the video as that's horrible. Was anyone hurt? Hopefully not. Looks pretty nasty.
A couple of years back, we saw fans end up in harm's way after a sewage pipe burst.
Oh my god.
Number 29, Paycor Stadium. Paycor Stadium is yet another obvious example of the Bengals' general incompetence.
Okay.
In fact, the field was just called out by the NFL.
Looks quite impressive to me.
LPA for being unsafe, and the union is now demanding an immediate replacement. Paycor is one of 7 NFL stadiums that still use split-film turf, which reportedly has statistically higher in-game injury rates than all other surfaces. Beyond that, the stadium simply leaves much to be desired.
So wait, how many surfaces do you have? Like, it's all turf, right? You don't. It's not like tennis where you play some on clay and some on grass and some on whatever you call it, concrete or tarmac. It's just different types of turf, right? You use AstroTurf. That was always very controversial in soccer.
Number 28, Bank of America Stadium. Not too dissimilarly from Paycor, Bank of America Stadium, home of the Carolina Panthers.
Again, look, if these are the worst stadiums, they look really impressive to me. Like, I don't know what the capacity is, but it looks pretty damn big. And if these are the worst stadiums in the NFL, then the best ones must be like palaces. I'm genuinely fascinated to see, or maybe I just have like the wrong way of judging stadiums. But this looks pretty cool to me, so I'll be really interested to see what the best ones are.
Was built back in 1996, and though they have done a couple of iterations of renovations over the years, there is clearly something missing. And considering the Panthers were founded in 96 themselves and haven't done all that much winning in the time since, this isn't exactly a stadium that is dripping with history. The only real positive is that it's actually well located within the city of Charlotte. So hey, it's at least fairly accessible. Number 27, MetLife Stadium. Though MetLife is a beneficiary of recent construction and features a lot of desirable amenities, having been built in 2010, it has to be pretty low on this list for all the things that it is not. It is not in Manhattan proper, where the proposed West Side Stadium would have been located.
Okay.
It does not have a roof, retractable or otherwise, which, considering the stadium is still in the Northeast, would have been pretty useful. And honestly, it lacks any real personality or vision. It's about as bland as a modern stadium can get. So for that reason, we are out on MetLife Stadium.
I mean, like, only a couple of... I mean, the UK reigns all the time, obviously. It's a stereotype, and it's a true stereotype. But only a couple of our stadiums have retractable roofs. I mean, if a soccer, it's not really a problem because you can kind of carry on playing. With a cricket, it's a massive problem because cricket games can last 5 days, and you can very easily end up with a draw if like 2 of those days are rained off. As far as I don't think any cricket stadium has a retractable roof. So yeah, I can see how this is a big issue.
Especially when you consider it is jointly owned by the Jets and Giants. With all those resources, you would have thought they could have built an awesome stadium. But alas, we have a big old mess of meh.
That's as many knee injuries and ankle stuff and people getting caught on a turf as I've ever been a part of. From what I saw, the other team did too. I know our players talked about it the entire game, just how sticky the turf was. And I think that was the first time people played on it, I think. But yeah, it was something our guys were concerned about right away. And the results definitely made that a lot stronger. And unfortunately, it's a place we got to go back to next week.
Number 26, Highmark Stadium. Moving on to the real New York team.
Wait, was that 27 or was that 20?
Bills, who up in Western New York play their games at one of the biggest dumps in the league.
That looks amazing. Like, if that was in the UK, genuinely, it would be one of the... I mean, I admit it looks a bit old, but... Other than that, if that was in the UK, it'd be one of like the biggest stadiums in the country. It looks, I really like it. It's got a sort of retro feel. I think this guy's being a bit harsh. Either that or like the best ones are just so amazing. Like you all like sit in jacuzzis or something.
Highmark Stadium.
Oh, hi, Mark.
Not much like the franchise that lives there and its fan base, Highmark is loaded with character, excitement, and vibes. Not to mention one of the most epic tailgating scenes in the entire country, let alone the NFL. Otherwise, it would be way lower on this list. Number 25, TIAA Bank Field. TIAA Bank Field is fighting an uphill battle existing in Jacksonville, which, let's face it, isn't exactly first city.
So Jacksonville, they're the ones like play in London all the time. They've got like some special link, and I know there's periodically been talk about whether a team gets relocated to London. I don't know what you guys think about that. I imagine there'd be a lot of hostility to the idea in the United States. I don't know if there's a big enough fan base in the UK, but please let me know what you think in the comments. Genuinely really interested. But sometimes Jacksonville is one that's talked about, but that was set. I mean, their owner, I think, also owns Fulham and tried to buy Wembley Stadium, but failed. But I kind of think it seems very unfair that you just lose your team. But I know like you got your franchise system that's a bit more normal than it is over here.
Material, but isn't quite as bad as the tarps that used to cover the upper bowl because the Jacks couldn't draw fans might indicate. That being said, it's still best known for having a pool, and that's pretty much it. It's got a pool. Number 24, Hard Rock Stadium. Now, the Dolphins' home field should have a location on its side. It's actually kind of a knock on Hard Rock, as it's
Miami.
Really in the middle of nowhere. But it isn't the worst place to catch a game, as evidenced by it having hosted 6 Super Bowls. Number 23, Soldier Field. Soldier Field, like Highmark, unfortunately is in grave need of an upgrade, or frankly, a replacement. It's home to some of the best NFL fans around, but the Bears need a modern upgrade. Yes, they've done some renovation.
Honestly, I like that. I sort of like them because I guess we're going to get on some more modern stuff later. I like the kind of the mix of like vintage, retro, and modern stuff. I like having like a bit of both.
But let's face it, ground originally broke in 1922, and no Band-Aid solution is going to change that. Number 22, Ford Field. Ford Field gets some bonus points for being one of the few Midwestern franchises to relinquish its Nordic roots, and reject the idea of playing and watching football outdoors during the brutal winters that the region is known for. It also has some pretty awesome skylights.
I know, like, you guys, they play NFL games sometimes in, well, obviously in the winter, and I know there's like these really famous games where it just snows crazy. And like to the point where like the players can barely see. But for the, I mean, it must be horrible being a player and horrible being a spectator. But for the TV spectator, it's quite something to watch.
It's in a large glass window at the open corners of the roof, which lets in a sizable amount of natural light. You know, on the off chance that it isn't gloomy and gray out. Number 21, NRG Stadium. The Texans opened NRG Stadium in 2002, and it has the unique distinction of having been built not just to the specifications of an NFL field, but also the rodeo, which the venue regularly hosts. It also gets bonus points for being one of the surprisingly few stadiums to have a retractable roof, which to me,
the most Texas thing you can imagine, isn't it?
It feels like a no-brainer for anyone building a new stadium at this point. Number 20, First Energy Stadium. First Energy Stadium, though outside, has a high-end heating system that prevents the field from freezing in the cold Cleveland weather. They added some nice bells and whistles in 2014, including a massive scoreboard, but that was not without sacrifice. As one of the most die-hard bleacher sections in all the NFL, the dog pound was shrunk in the process. Number 19, Gillette Stadium. There have been some big games played at Gillette over the last 20 years, and the atmosphere is top-notch. There aren't too many bad seats in the house, but getting one of those seats regardless is
I wish I knew what team each of these stadiums were for, and to be honest, what city some of them are in. Like my knowledge of American sport is not such that I can put name and stadium and city together on very many of these.
Notoriously expensive, even by NFL standards. It does, however, feel a bit tacky at times because of the massive retail expansion that the team implemented in and around the stadium itself. Number 18, M&T Bank Stadium. There's something awesome about cities that position multiple sporting venues in the same neighborhood. It just sort of adds to the atmosphere.
So what's is the, if we go back, is the other one what, the baseball stadium? I'm guessing that one. I can't think what else it would be.
Neighborhood. It just sort of adds to the atmosphere. M&T Bank Stadium also has excellent amenities for the fans, and because of its locations, it's easily accessible.
Yeah.
Baltimore also gets brownie points for having a beautiful natural grass playing surface. Number 17, Nissan Stadium. The Titans, also to their credit, have a very lovely natural playing surface in Nissan Stadium. And doing so in Nashville is no small feat. The local climate plus the wear and tear of NFL action often results in the field needing to be resodded between the hashes nearly every week. And the pedestrian bridge that connects to downtown is an awesome feature. Number 16. Nice. Lincoln Financial Field.
So this is something you'll have to explain to me, but I wish I knew what the other thing I really would like to know is what the capacity is for each stadium, because we were obviously doing the college football stadiums and they have enormous capacities. Like I genuinely like you've got college football stadiums for university sports, which are bigger than any stadium in the UK. I don't know if these stadiums are like the same size. I mean, they kind of look like the same size, but I know that can be deceptive. So I there were college football stadiums with like capacity of over 100,000, which just wow. I don't know if any of these have. Again, if you could let me know in the comments, that would be really useful. Not the spin.
What a place to catch a game. There are few places that can match the intensity that you'll find in Lincoln Financial Field every Sunday. But I can't in good conscience recommend a visit, as opposing fans aren't always treated with the decency that you might expect. Number 15.
So obviously in the UK or in Europe in general, that is, I think generally American fans will also obviously are some very serious rivalries. It generally doesn't get really violent in the way that it does sometimes in Europe. So in a British soccer stadium, I've used the word again, I'm so sorry. In a British soccer stadium, you have segregated fans. You have one section for, say, Arsenal play Chelsea. You have one section for Arsenal fans and one section for Chelsea fans, and you have a line of police or two lines of police and stewards in between. And the reason for that is to stop them attacking each other, basically. And that exists at pretty much every soccer stadium in the country. Fulham's kind of an exception, but that's pretty much of a norm, just to stop the fans fighting. It's a lot better than it used to be in terms of fans fighting, but it is still an issue.
In Raymond James Stadium. Raymond James Stadium. The only NFL venue boasting a massive pirate ship. The seating leaves up little to be desired, but with the Florida weather, it is a great place to catch a game, especially when the Bucks are good. The Tampa Bay fans know how to bring the intensity. In addition to the pirate ship, the Buccaneer cover in the north end zone has a nice two-story fishing village facade, complete with concessions and restrooms.
This is really cool. I love how they've incorporated the theme of their club into the stadium quite so aggressively. This is my favourite so far, definitely.
Nice. Number 14, State Farm Stadium.
Ooh.
The Arizona Cardinals
This looks
home
nice.
has the unique distinction of being the first retractable roof ever built on an incline, which, hey, that's pretty cool. And useful, considering the immense desert heat that needs keeping out. Number 13, Levi's Stadium. Levi's Stadium features a beautiful natural grass field, and it fits approximately 2/3 of its 68,500 person capacity in the lower bowl of the stadium, which is absolutely unheard of. This makes the stadium significantly more accessible and improves seating options for fans across the board. Number 12, Lucas Oil Stadium. Lucas Oil Stadium is one of the best-known NFL venues, in part because of the large-scale events that are hosted there. One of the coolest features of this stadium is the retractable north window that offers a beautiful view of downtown Indy. Number 11, Empower Field at Mile High. Denver has some of the best fans in the league, and it's a great place to see a game, especially since the $30 million renovation project that they completed ahead of the 2013 season, which added a
That looks very good.
massive
like
HD
that.
LED video board triple the size of its predecessor. Number 10, Caesars Superdome. Though it isn't the sparkly new stadium it once was, the Superdome is still one of the coolest places to see an NFL game. Yes, it has a long way to go if it wants to keep up with the Joneses, but between the atmosphere on game day and being walkable from the French Quarter of New Orleans, we had to keep it in the top 10. Number 9, Acrisure Stadium. Though Acrisure Stadium doesn't have the same ring to it that Heinz Field does, the stadium is still top-notch. It has aged like a fine wine in the 20-plus years since it opened, and the Steelers fans know how to bring the heat. Number 8, AT&T Stadium. Jerry's World. This one speaks for itself. Jerry wanted to
This is in Texas.
build a venue that was top of the line, and he did just that.
Dallas
Everything in and
Cowboys.
around is top-notch. It would be higher if they could only figure out how to nip that nasty glare problem they experience during some afternoon games. Number
That does look fantastic.
7, SoFi Stadium. SoFi looks and feels exactly how you'd want a stadium that cost $5.5 billion to look and feel. The concourses sparkle in a way
like
that
those-
seems scientifically impossible.
Those seats we saw a second ago, they look like the sort of seats you get like in luxury seats in a cinema.
The concourses sparkle in a way that seems scientifically impossible when you consider the foot traffic that goes through that place on a weekly basis. And it doesn't hurt that the facility is built in beautiful Los Angeles. Number 6, Allegiant Stadium.
So is that the new one? Because I know they moved 2 teams to Los Angeles, right? There was a long period where there were no teams in Los Angeles, which was really weird because it's America's second biggest city. Then they moved 2 teams there, and they're sharing a stadium. I think that's right. As per usual, please correct me in the comments. You guys are going to have to be writing essays now. But I really do appreciate it.
Allegiant Stadium is a slight nod over SoFi, primarily because while it is not that same Bay Area feel, there are still far more fans that actually care about the games being played there than at SoFi. Allegiant is ridiculously nice as well. It is a bit touristy, which shouldn't come as a surprise considering it is in Las Vegas, and the concessions will cost you a small fortune, but if you want a comfortable high-end football viewing experience, Allegiant is a great place to catch a game.
I'm guessing this is quite a new one.
5, Lambeau Field. So,
This has got a lovely retro look to it. This is the Green Bay Packers, right?
one is admittedly a bit of a formality. Obviously, Lambeau Field doesn't have the same shine that some of the more modern stadiums do, but it is still impossible to drop the historic venue out of the top
I like
five. There have been
that.
so many legendary NFL moments on those grounds, and the team has done well to keep it just modern enough that it doesn't fall into the good vibes, bad stadium bucket like Highmark. Number 4, US Bank Stadium. The Vikings have gotten a major upgrade with US Bank Stadium compared to its former digs at the Metrodome. The
my
coolest part
God.
of the stadium has to be the glass ceiling that makes the facility field all-encompassing. And of course, it has all the bells and whistles that you'd want from a new stadium. Number 3, Mercedes-Benz Stadium. Between the
It's interesting how like, the modern ones have so much glass incorporated. It's all like the really, really modern ones have these like massive glass facades. I guess it's so light can go through, which is kind of cool.
state-of-the-art facilities and the fan-friendly concession pricing, there's not much to complain about stadium-wise down in Atlanta. It is a world-class venue that regularly holds major events in addition to Falcons home games. Not only does it have all the luxuries that its big spenders want, but it has a few creative features for us regular fans. And they even redeveloped the land outside the stadium where the old Georgia Dome once stood, turning it into the Home Depot.
That does look very good. I don't know if it's my favourite, but because I sort of in some ways I prefer the classic ones, but I do also definitely see the advantage of the modern ones, and obviously I guess in time they then become the classic ones.
Backyard, which acts as an 11-acre tailgating area. Number 2, Lambeau Field. Lambeau Field has twice claimed the Guinness World Record for loudest crowd noise at an outdoor stadium. That was back when the Seahawks and the Legion of Boom reigned supreme in the NFL. But hey, even now, this stadium still gets pretty raucous. It's also built into a robust event center, which is home to the Washington Music Theater. Number 1, GEHA Field at Arrowhead Stadium. It simply does not get any better than Arrowhead Stadium. At least according to our advanced analytics that cross-reference the atmosphere of a stadium, the caliber of football that is regularly played in it, and the amenities. The stadium the Chiefs call home also gets bonus points for being one of the longest-standing stadiums in the NFL today, and actually doing a consistently good job of keeping up with the renovations. Every few years they make some minor upgrades, and in 2010 they completed a massive $375 million renovation that brought the stadium fully into the present day. But which NFL?
So this one, that one feels like an interesting mix of like retro and modern. Like I guess for the guy that made the video, I was hoping there'd be more footage of it. But for the guy who made the video, it sounds like it was sort of the perfect combination of retro and modern, which I totally get. I think a lot of the best sporting stadiums are. You combine the history with modern amenities rather than just being either really old and dilapidated or really modern and a bit characterless.
Stadium do you think is the worst? And which one do you think is the best? Join us in the comment section below. If you like this video and learned a thing or two, clicking the like button helps out a ton.
Well, no, that was really interesting. As I say, there's still a lot I don't know. I would be very interested to know exactly what city each of these stadiums are in and what the capacity is, and in particular whether it's kind of higher than college football capacity or kind of how the average works out. But no, that was really interesting. I hope you guys enjoyed. Please do subscribe. It massively helps the channel. And hopefully it won't be another 2 months before I see you again.